Welcome to the Ben and Walker Movie Show. I'm your co-host, Ben Davis, joined by my other co-host, Walker Holt, and we're excited to have a conversation with you about one of our favorite things in the world, movies. If this is your first time being here with us, welcome. We're so glad to have you. And while you're here, be sure to smash that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all the latest content we have for you guys. And if you enjoy your time with us, leave us a like, share us around to your friends, family members, what have you, and of course, comment down below with your comments. Comment down below with your comments. Comment with your thoughts down below on today's show or whatever random thoughts you might be having. This is, of course, our weekly show where we break down movie news that interest us, talk about some things we've been watching, let you guys know if it's a must-see, a go see it, a rent it, or just to skip it. Now, with all that said, Walker
I'm
Scott,
good.
how are you doing today,
I
sir?
had a pretty good weekend. I did a lot of cleaning around the house. Went to the movies today, saw a lot of content, and I then this afternoon just went and did all my Thanksgiving grocery shopping. So we got that out of the way.
Ooh, nice, nice. Do you have like a specific dish or like a list of to-dos or anything like that that you do for Thanksgiving that's like
Oh
specific
yeah, I mean we
to you guys?
so my wife's work is very hectic around Black Friday and around this time, so we never really get the time to
Yeah.
to like go travel to see family or anything like that. So we always just do it for ourselves. But she loves cooking and loves the holiday, and I love eating it. So we end up cooking for. She cooks for 15 people for just the two of us every year, and I don't complain about it. It's she. I try my hard. I don't really do it. I cook the turkey outside in like this thing. I got this thing called a Big Easy. It's like a oilless turkey fryer. It's kind of like a basically like an outdoor air fryer that it crisps it up pretty nicely, but I get it's safer than the regular. Yeah, yeah. Like you don't have to
Less
deal with
flammable.
like your porch exploding, and I imagine it's healthier. I don't really care about that though, but
It's Thanksgiving, no one cares.
I mean, that's all I really do. Other than that, I just try to suck as much fun out of it as possible because it's overwhelming to cook that much by yourself. I mean, like even like what dish to cook it in, what dish to serve it on, what order to cook them in, the temperatures of the oven being all over the place, the times, the crock pots, so much. And the first time we tried to do it, we ate at like 1:30 in the morning because it was just took so long to get through all of it, and it was so like out of whack. So I have like a folder of notes on my phone. It's like 14 notes, and the main one's titled Thanksgiving Order of Operations. So I just try to make it as lame as I possibly can. And you go through and it tells like the order to cook things in, what temperature each thing needs to go, what things can ride together in the oven, what like basic instructions, what we leave out on Tuesday night, like we need to thaw this, leave this in the fridge, soften this, make this glaze, make this cookie dough, like whatever we got to do on Tuesday night, and then Wednesday night, and then Thanksgiving Day, to try to be as efficient as possible so we can eat at a reasonable time and get it all done. And we're starting to get good at it. We're starting to perfect it, or she is. But I also have a big and on the order of operations note, like each dish is linked. So like if it says like, oh, the carrots, blah 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 blah, you can just click on the carrots and it'll take you to another note that's dedicated to the carrots. It talks about what dish it's in, what the recipe is, the ingredients, the process, things like that. And then I have an ingredient.
That's
Yeah, it's
incredibly
awful.
detailed and
I've
specific.
got a spreadsheet that has all of the dishes listed and all of the ingredients for each dish, and then it shows like it crosses things over. So it like if I need 2 cups of flour for this dish and 1 cup for this dish, it'll total that all up to how much I need, and then we have a separate like equation like pivot table that we take inventory in our house of what we already have, so we can say, all right, what do we need for all the dishes? How much of this food do we need? How much do we already have in the house? This less this is what our shopping list is, and then I can copy all of that over unit, quantity, and dish or ingredient over to the like an Apple grocery list, and that categorizes automatically by like meat, produce, dairy, breads, seasonings, sauces, whatever, and puts it in our list app, and it does make it very efficient. And I love stuff like this, but I'm the only one.
It sounds fast and efficient. I guess people listening to this podcast know which one of us is the more structured, is the more detailed. Certainly not me. Do you have like a specific like dish? Like, what's your favorite? Like, what's your go-to on Thanksgiving?
Yeah,
Are you a
I
big
like
turkey
turkey.
guy?
I like it more since we started frying it. I that thing makes the turkey pretty good, and I do enjoy it. I've liked how it's turned out every year, and it's tends to get better each year. Jess makes a really good stuffing though. She like takes she doesn't even like stuffing. She just makes it for me. It's she toasts like real. She actually toasts real
Stuffing's good.
bread and cuts it into cubes and then mixes it with the celery and the onion and whatever else, and it creates this almost like savory bread pudding type of stuffing, which I think is so good. Growing up, stuffing
Mm-mm.
was not like that. My family has a weird oyster stuffing thing that they bring that one person likes, and then or it's probably like the stuff in a box or whatever. This is really good. I really enjoy it. We also do mac and cheese, pretty fancy mac and cheese that she does. I think we're kind of altering that this year with like a little Ritz cracker spin on it, which I'm pretty pumped for. Always brings good desserts into it.
Hmm.
Um, Everything's good. I really like everything. She does a fantastic job, and it's all delicious. And I eat stuff in my face like a pig. I'm trying to lose weight. Well, I'm not trying to. I'm trying to. Yeah, I can't do it.
It's the
I'm just.
holiday
Yeah, I
season,
lost
man.
a bunch of
You're
weight
fighting a
for my
losing
wedding, and
battle.
then
You're gonna
in April, and I've since gained it all back. And now it's like I'm just now realizing. I guess.
hey, just
I
start
guess that's what
fresh
I'm
in
gonna do.
January. Don't go
I guess
crazy,
that's what I'm gonna
and
do.
just start fresh in January.
How about you? Well, you got any
Yeah,
big Thanksgiving plans?
that's the way to go. So no, I think we're gonna stay here. Carly's parents are coming up, and we're just gonna stay here and I think have a good time. I love Thanksgiving food. I am a big. I'm very simple when it comes to Thanksgiving food. I am a big turkey, gravy, stuffing, mashed potatoes, mac and cheese kind of guy. If I want a dessert, it's usually like cherry pie and
You know,
ice cream,
mm-hmm.
like French vanilla
Cherry
ice
pie
cream.
sounds good.
That's like my go-to. But I married into an Italian family, and one of the traditions that they have is they make
Hmm.
Thanksgiving ravioli, and it is delicious. So I grew up. I was never like a huge like Italian food fan. Like I liked pizza, but I don't know if you would necessarily even call that like traditional Italian food. Maybe it is, but the way that they make pasta is unlike anything. It's so good. It's so good. The ravioli, they have their own like stuffing that they make for the ravioli, or filling rather, that they make for the ravioli, and it is so good. And it's like an event on Thanksgiving the night before. We all get around, we make the little balls out of the stuffing. They make the dough, and you make it yourself, and it becomes like a whole big thing. And then for Christmas they take like the leftover filling and they put it in lasagna, and it's delicious. It's the
That
bee's
sounds good.
knees, man.
I've
It's
never had anything like that. It sounds great.
so good. Oh yeah, it's amazing, man. It's amazing. If you ever come here, I'll make sure to
Yeah,
free
yeah,
some,
that
and
sounds good.
you can try some. It's good. But let's get on to some movie news here, man. We've done enough jabbing. That's why guys and gals are here to listen to us talk about movie news. So let's get into that. First story up is Creed 4 is in development with Michael B. Jordan returning to direct. This is coming from Deadline. Creed 3 producer Erwin, Winkler, said Saturday at Deadline's Contenders Film Los Angeles event that Creed 4 is in the works, with the franchise star and Creed 3 director Michael B. Jordan to helm. He's quoted as saying, "We are planning to do Creed 4 right now. Winkler said on stage during a panel for Creed 3, the NGM Amazon Studios pick that bowed in March and grossed more than $275 million at the worldwide box office. We have a really good story and a really good plot. We got a little delayed because of the strikes, but about a year from now, we are going into pre production. Winkler also confirmed that Jordan would be returning to direct after his feature helming debut on Creed 3. He said he will be returning. He did such a great job. He is comfortable with the camera, and I agree. He's very comfortable with the camera. He did a fantastic job with Creed 3. Walker, I know you're a huge Creed fan.
Yeah, it does.
Does this
I am a
excite you?
big Creed fan. I like all three of them. I think I prefer them to Rocky. Even Rocky's a classic and it's an all time movie. But I mean, if I have the choice to watch one or the other, I think I'm picking Creed almost every time. And maybe one of the hotter takes is Creed 3. I mean, Creed 3 is in my top three movies of the year right now. I think it might be my favorite of the three, and that may not be a popular opinion, but I think yes, that makes me very excited for Creed 4. Michael B. Jordan, I think he did a great job on both sides of the camera. I think he did a great job, obviously in the lead. I think he's a fantastic actor. And I think he directed a great movie. I think it was beautifully shot. Tessa Thompson coming back, I think is great. I mean, to be fair, one of the things I love so much about Creed 3 was Jonathan Majors. I mean, it was one of the best performances I've it's one of the best performances of all time. I mean, he just I was captivated by him the whole screen. I mean, I really liked his performance in it.
Really?
I thought it was the whole time. It's all I could think about was just watching him acting. And he I mean, obviously there's a lot going on with
Yeah.
him right now, but it when he's on, he pulls me in so well. But yeah, I mean, obviously that won't be part of it, but yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited
Yeah.
for to expand the franchise. Great soundtrack too.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, this has me very excited as a fan of the franchise as well. I loved Creed 3, and I thought the direction behind it was very good, especially considering it was Michael B. Jordan's directorial debut. Maybe this time they will bring back Sly. As much as I love that third movie, I did miss his presence, and at times I felt like it lacked that presence or the character of Rocky, where I think he certainly would be there in those moments in the film where I felt like his presence was
Mhm.
lacking without giving away anything for the movie for people who hadn't seen it. But we will see. But regardless of that, I'm excited as a fan of the franchise and a fan of Michael B. Jordan. All right, moving on to our next topic: Denzel Washington and Antoine Fuqua's General Hannibal film for Netflix. This also comes to us from Deadline. Netflix has attached Denzel Washington to play the ancient General Hannibal in an untitled epic drama that will reteam Antoine Fuqua for Netflix, or him and Antoine Fuqua. That reunites Backstar and director who first teamed in 2001's Training Day. Washington won the Oscar for that turn, and they most recently made their third installment of the Equalizer franchise, which is a franchise I have not seen. I desperately need to. John Logan, the three-time Oscar-nominated The Aviator and Hugo Scribe, who knows his way around Sword and Sandal saga with Gladiator, is writing the script. Fuqua, Washington, Eric Olson, and Adam Goldworm will produce. Jeremy Lott and Frank Rodriguez Mall executive produce. Walker, what are your thoughts on seeing Denzel reunite with Fuqua again to play General Hannibal?
Um, I have not seen the third Equalizer yet, but I've seen the first two, and I think they're good. I mean, they're not John Wick, but they're good. You
No.
know, they're like a great plain movie. They're the type of movie you put on and you're surprised at how good it is. So I do want to see the third one. I just wanted to rewatch the first two before I saw it, so I just haven't gotten around to it. I'm not very familiar with General Hannibal. I'm not very familiar with his the history behind him, and I'm not a very smart person. But Denzel, I have trust in Denzel. When I don't know much about Fuqua's work outside of the Equalizer series. I do know much about Denzel's work. It's fantastic. Um, Denzel just played Macbeth. I know that's not exactly related, but that's a old timey type of deal, and he
That's
crushed it.
where my mind went when I thought about this.
I like that. I mean, it's not very rewatchable. I'm not
No.
gonna like, but it was. I respected it when I saw it, and I thought it was well done and good. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I don't know. I feel like a movie about Hannibal honestly has been in development for a long time. I think this exact project was rumored back in like the early 2000s. And then I remember for several years seeing like news stories about a movie that was very similar to this about Hannibal with Vin Diesel starring instead of Denzel. I think it was going to be like the two competing films like Deep Impact and Armageddon.
oh yeah, yeah.
So I always thought that would be interesting to see Vin Diesel in a sword and sandal epic. But I love whenever these two guys team up. So I'm down for this. I'm a sucker for a good historical epic. And again, I think Antoine Fuqua is one of those consistently good filmmakers. And Denzel, I mean, it's Denzel. He's the best actor in Hollywood. So
Yeah,
sign me up.
yeah, he's in something. I'm gonna try to see it. So
Uh, Next up, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow has its writer, Walker. You excited?
sure.
This is coming from the Hollywood Reporter. Anna Noguria? No, Noguria? Nogueria. I
I'm
butchered your
sure you
name, but
crushed it. I'm sure you did perfectly.
oh, that, yeah. Yeah. Comment section is
Nagura,
going to crush me.
right? Yes, that's exactly what it says. Nagura.
So bad. I'm Ron Burgundy. Yeah, so bad. The actress and playwright who is now making forays into screenwriting has been tapped to pen the Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, a standalone feature centered on the Kryptonian cousin of Superman being developed by DC Studios. No director is attached, and Nigira's deal only recently closed. The project is actually a redo for Nagira. The writer was quietly hired to pen a Supergirl movie in 2002 when Warner Brothers was developing the project as a spinoff of The Flash, then in post production. Flash featured Sasha Kaye as the heroine, and the hope was to launch in another DC film franchise. Those hopes were seemingly dashed when Gunn and Safran were brought in to oversee a reorganized DC arm. That project was tossed as the new execs focused on creating a brand new slate separate from former DC film boss Walter Hamada's vision. Earlier this year, Supergirl was revealed to be part of the slate as a project without any connection to the Flash movie. But rather, it is now connected in title and story to a comic book miniseries written by Tom King that was published in 2021 and 2022 and sought to redefine the character as something more than just a girl version of Superman. And that run is particularly very good. The article went on to say Gunn and Saffron liked the work on Nagira, or liked the work Nagira had done on previous Supergirl project and quietly brought her back, even given her an overall DC writing deal. James Gunn on his Instagram added, Anna is an amazing writer whose screenplay adaptation of Woman of Tomorrow is above and beyond anything I would have hoped it'd be. We're excited to be moving forward on this unique take on Supergirl and this beautiful star spanning tale. James also added, when asked in a comment below, and said they are now looking for directors. So, Walker, do you think this writer is the right choice to write Supergirl? And does the choice give you faith in DC moving forward?
What year did you say she was originally attached to write it?
So she was originally attached to write the Supergirl movie that was going to be a spin-off of The Flash with Sasha Kaye, but that's been shelved and like
So
axed. They're not going to
okay,
do that. This is a completely new project.
I
So
thought you
she
said
wrote a draft for
2002.
that.
That's why. Got it. Okay,
No,
got it.
she so that was 2001 and 2022. That they are following Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, that Tom King run of comic book.
Got it. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it just kind of feels too new to have much of an opinion. I mean, the scriptwriter seems. I guess that makes sense. I guess the argument could be made that you'd want. We're doing so much fresh stuff now that we don't want anything recycled, and we hope that she does it. But I really like the mindset of not making her girl Superman. I would not want that. I don't
Yeah,
know anything about Supergirl. Never cared to know anything about her. I'm not a comic book guy, but I've never watched any sort of show or older movie about it. I mean, I know the portion of the Flash, but I don't know much about it. I'd like that to change, and I'd like it to change in a positive way. I'd like it to be interesting, and I don't want it to just. And I don't think it will be. So yeah,
so in the
well, her
in
saying
this
that
Tom
makes me.
King run, she's a much like harder edge than Superman because she didn't have the Ma and Pa Kent to help
Hmm.
raise her and take care of her. She was out on her own, so she kind of has that chip on her shoulder. And I like that take of Supergirl because it's much more it's much more interesting than just girl version of Superman. Like it makes her unique. Uh, and as someone who's been holding out hope, and I've said this multiple times on the podcast that Greta Gerwig will come on to write and direct this, I'm a little heartbroken. I was really hoping she would be the choice, as I thought she would be like the perfect fit for this. That said, this choice doesn't move me one way or another because I haven't seen any of Anna's work. She's a bit of an unknown, and I think she only has one credit, and I believe it's a short film titled "We Win," which I haven't seen. However, I trust James Gunn, and I respect his choice to go out and get the best person for the job, regardless of credits. Obviously, there must be something there if they're willing to keep her around for another crack at a character, but for their version. As far as directors go, I still want Gerwig, but if not her, I'm going to go with the other obvious choice, and Academy Award winner, Catherine Bigelow.
Mhm.
She can direct the hell out of a movie, and considering she directed one of my favorite action movies of all time, and the movie that Walker's going to watch after this podcast, Point Break, I'd
It's
love
on the
to
list.
see what she can do in the superhero genre. You keep saying it's on the list, Walker,
The
but I
list
don't
is
believe.
long. The list is long, and I've got
Okay,
to. And I've got to.
you need to move it up. All right, you need to move it up.
I mean, above what?
It needs to be one. It needs to be number one. It's the movie where you lose yourself and you find yourself. It's a great movie, man. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. I think this will be good.
Yeah, I hope so.
Um, and speaking of names that are going to trip me up, here's one: Maria Gabriela de Faria will star as the Authority member and one of the villains of Superman Legacy, the Engineer. I am really horrible with names. This comes to us from Deadline. This Venezuelan actress, best known for her roles in Fox's comedy or Fox comedies, Animal Control and The Moodies, has landed the breakout part in the film. side joining the cast of James Gunn's Superman Legacy. Her character is Angela Spice, aka the Engineer, part of Warner slash DC's Flick's villain team. Angie's powers stem from the nanotechnology built into her body, created by Warren Ellis and Brian Hitch. She's the second DC character to bear the name the Engineer, and and was first introduced in The Authority Volume 1 in 1999. So relatively a new character. Walker, how familiar are you, considering you're such a big comic book fan, with the character of the Engineer? And do you like the casting, considering you're such a big fan of the character of the Engineer?
I've never heard of the Engineer. I've never heard of
Don't feel
Maria
bad.
Gabriela de Faria.
Yeah.
I don't, but I mean, I just googled it to try to get a look of it. I'm excited about the Authority in general, and I'm excited that that's starting to be pieced together. I can say that. I mean, they're kind of they're not like the Suicide Squad, but they're like the are they antagonists, or are
They're
they
sort
just
of,
like the edgy protagonists, like
they're
anti-heroes?
like the boys of the DC universe.
But they're not necessarily villains, right?
They're not necessarily villains, but they're shady.
Okay,
They
okay.
could be villainous.
So that I mean, I hope that's handled well, and I mean, I can't speak for her or her work or this particular character or anything like that, but I'm excited that this stuff's starting to take shape. I'm excited that some of the stuff we've been talking about for months, and now that we're through the strikes and stuff, we're starting to get some news like this, that things are starting to get put together. So I can say that.
Yeah. I'm I'm really liking the cast of Superman Legacy so far. It's got this mix of familiar names with like up and coming stars. I'm not too familiar with Maria Gabriela de Ferreira, but James Gunn has always had like a really good knack for casting roles. And as I said in our previous news bit, I trust James Gunn until he gives me a reason not to. And he's never really given me a reason not to.
I
And
agree.
I look forward to seeing her take on this role and getting familiar with her work. Uh, the choice for the Engineer as one of the villains is really cool because she's very powerful character, and she's someone who can go like toe to toe with Superman. And while it's not confirmed, I feel like the Authority, which like I just said, it's like the DC's version of the Boys, and already has a movie announced, will probably be the main villains of this movie. At least it feels that way. I feel like the story will be very similar to Kingdom Come, but instead of like older Superman, it'll be younger Superman. So it'll be that story like reversed, coming in and setting the standard against a bunch of like anti heroes who dish out justice in like a sketchy way.
Hmm.
That's of course me speculating, but if that is indeed what we're getting and what James Gunn's going for, I'm very excited.
Me too. I'm pumped too. I can't speak for the like I said, I can't speak for the casting, but I'm ready for it. I'm ready to hear more.
Me too, man. Me too. Got a bit of Taika Waititi news on the Thor 5 front and on the Star Wars front. This coming from Variety. Uh, I wouldn't know in terms. This is talking about Thor 5. I wouldn't know if that's accurate. Waititi said when asked about the social media rumors claiming Thor 5 is a development, but not with him as director. I know that I won't be involved. I'm going to concentrate on these other films that I've signed on for. Waititi said about his current slate and how Marvel doesn't factor in right now. He listed off a bunch of projects, and he's quoted as saying, "So that's 6, 7 years gone. I'd imagine another Thor would, be a lot sooner than that. But I love Marvel. I love working with them. I love Chris. I would never feel like they're cheating on me." Waititi added, noting he'd have no ill will if Marvel goes ahead and hires another director, writer for a fifth film. He said, "We're in an open relationship. And it's like, if they want to see other people, I'm happy for that. I still get back into bed with them one day." I love how he phrased that. Walker, Are you disappointed that Taika Waititi won't be returning for Thor 5, it seems?
No, not really. I do love Ragnarok. I hated
Yeah.
Love and Thunder. I didn't like it at all.
Really?
No.
I mean, that's not that shocking. Most people I know don't like that movie.
I mean, I think it was so wasted. I think getting Christian Bale in the MCU was just I mean, such a win, and then such a wasted opportunity. I didn't like much about it all. I do like Taika a lot. Well, Taika's hitting. I'm sounding back and forth here. I Taika excites me when I hear Taika's name. I really like Jojo Rabbit. He directed the first season finale of The Mandalorian, which was a great
Yes.
episode, really great episode. I loved Ragnarok. I have not seen What We Do in the Shadows, a TV show that he's attached to a lot on FX. I do have that on my list as well. I've heard it's very good. But he's got some stuff that like I mean, I didn't like Love and Thunder. Next Goal Wins. I mean, I hadn't seen it, but I'm hearing your review, which was it was okay.
It's good. I liked it.
It was good. Oh, you liked it? Okay. So no, his also he had like a stint there where he was being. I mean, I know he's an interesting fella, but he was being like weird for a while, like publicly. Like I felt like in a lot of interviews, like he was.
That's his personality.
Yeah, he was almost off-putting a little bit though, like a little. I don't know. I got the gist that he was just kind of over Marvel, but maybe not. But no, I'm not unhappy about it. I like Ragnarok. It doesn't tarnish Ragnarok. I'm ready for something new.
Okay. So I'm the rare person that likes both Ragnarok and Thor: Love and Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do think Ragnarok is overall a much better film and is more successful in terms of execution and enjoyment. I find the character journey of Thor, finding his purpose and becoming a dad, a wonderful conclusion for him, and was pretty well executed in terms of the main theme and the main story of the movie. That said, given the reception of that film and how much Waititi is doing, including something else we're about to discuss, it makes sense for him to step aside for someone else to kind of come in and have their own take of Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you choose to direct Thor 5?
Oh God. Um, do you have somebody in mind that put me on the spot? I'm trying. Let me think
Now,
about it for a bit.
Kenneth Branagh. He did the first one. Come back and do the fifth one, maybe. I
I
don't know
really, I
where
mean,
I don't know where you would go.
yeah, I mean, at this point, I like Chris Hemsworth. I mean, God, I don't want to. The MCU. I mean, like the rest of the world, I loved Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark, and I liked
Yeah.
that character, and I didn't really give a shit where we were going to go with it. I wanted to watch 2 hours of him being witty and sarcastic and funny on the camp. That's what I
Yeah.
wanted, and I hope the story comes along for the ride. Thor. Now, I like the. I mean, I'm probably the worst type of fan. I just like the world building. I like the continuity and the crossover and the connection and being paid
You're
in
just a
full.
casual fan. There's nothing wrong with being a casual fan. You
I
just
just don't. Yeah, like the actual where we are in the MCU is not quite as. I mean, unless it's captivating. Loki captivated me.
yeah.
I don't remember anything about Ragnarok really, except for the Hulk stuff and that I loved Chris Hemsworth in it. I think he's funny in it, and I want them to use him in a funny way. And I liked how they found his like perfect balance in the later half of Thor's like performances. I think, or Chris Hemsworth performances of Thor. So I don't know. Maybe I do you like the first two Thors?
So I sort of like the first one. Like I think it's fine. The second one is less fine. I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't say it's bad. I just think it's poor.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
Yeah.
But if I were choosing who's going to direct Thor 5, I think it would be Kenneth Branagh. I think that's the way to go.
Yeah. I, I
One
was
of
thinking maybe
the
what if like somebody weird, like some like a commit, like almost like Seth Rogen or somebody come in and do it, or like to make it fun. But I don't know.
I want I so they've gone like one of my biggest issues was Thor Love and Thunder does push a little too far into the silly.
Mm-hmm.
I would get someone to kind of bring it back just a little
Okay.
bit.
Okay.
So we get that kind of Ragnarok Infinity War Endgame Thor,
Yep.
which was like the best era of Thor, I think, right?
Oh
But
yeah, definitely.
so that's what I would do. I would get someone that could kind of bring it back just a hair. But one of the other projects Taika Waititi is doing is his upcoming Star Wars film. This coming from Variety. When asked if his addition to the popular franchise would still show fans the same Star Wars they know and love, Thor Love and Thunder director animatedly told Variety on the red carpet of his Next Goal Wins premiere, it will be dramatic pause, a Taika Waititi film. It's gonna piss people off. He added with a laugh. And then I read on CBR while speaking with Entertainment Tonight as part of the promotional campaign for his new movie Next Goal Wins, Waititi was asked about the status of his new Star Wars movie. Waititi said the following: "At the moment, I'm still developing something with them. Like me, Lucasfilm have a lot of projects going on. Boy, do they. I think they're
Hmm.
going to push it until I finish these other projects. I've got about 4 other scripts that I'm trying to finish. The thing is, I want to take my time with that and get it right. I don't want to rush the movie." And I think that's a good mindset. But, Walker, do you think this movie will get made? And if it does, will it piss people off?
Yeah, it'll definitely. I mean, that's 100% fact. It's going to piss people off. All of them piss people off. But
Yeah.
will it piss? I mean, the biggest haters of Star Wars are Star Wars fans. I don't, the
No one hates Star Wars more than Star Wars fans.
yeah. Um, Yeah, I bet it pisses people off more than usual. I mean, anytime. I mean, but I. So again, I like him, it might rub me the wrong way, but I don't care. I want them to try new stuff and weird stuff. I want them to get out there and be a little outside the box. Now, that doesn't mean I think Star Wars is stale. I think Star. I mean, I've said this several times, but I think MCU. We've got like some lukewarmness going on, at least in my opinion, and some in a lot of people's opinion. Star Wars, I don't feel that way really. I'm not saying every Star Wars project has been a hit. It in my eyes like a successful, like critically good, but a lot of it has been. Enough of it has been, I think. So I'm not necessarily like I'm always wanting more Star Wars, but I'm not necessarily thinking we're like in a spot where we really got to change something up to get people interested. But I am excited that we are. I mean, I'm excited for the Mangold thing. I'm excited for the Filoni thing. I'm excited for the Ray thing. So yeah, I mean, I'd be excited about this. I'm sure it'll piss people off. Will it happen? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd say 55 yes.
Okay.
55 45. I
More
that
yes
kind of
than
stuff.
no. Okay.
Yeah, just because it's coming back up again. But
Yeah.
um
I so I will say this. I I really enjoyed you just mentioned the season finale of season 1. I really enjoyed his work on that season 1 finale. It had the right amount of emotional weight plus his signature style that I thought it blended together quite well, better than I expected. That said, I do worry that his style for an entire feature length Star Wars movie might not mesh super well, despite my love of his work and that episode. But given my reactions to his work, I think I have nothing to worry about. I've, by and large, really enjoyed all of his stuff. That said, I do worry that a certain segment of people have already kind of made up their minds and have their pitchforks out going into this.
Yeah.
But I do think, but do I think it will get made? I'm gonna go the opposite of you. I'm gonna go no. I've taken the I'll believe it when I see it approach when it comes to Lucasfilm. I'm excited for it, but it's kind of like I'll put it in the pardon my language here, but the fuck it bucket. Like I'll believe it when I see it. I'm gonna put it in the fuck it bucket. I'll come back to it if it comes out, and I'll get excited about it. But until they actually start shooting, fuck it bucket.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
It's a good take.
Moving on to the other big Disney IP, Marvel. Stephen Yeun will officially be playing the Sentry in the Thunderbolts. This coming soon during a recent interview with Invincible creator Robert Kirkman. He revealed who Stephen Yeun will be playing in Marvel Studios' highly anticipated Thunderbolts. He's quoted as saying, "My good friend Stephen Yeun is playing the Sentry in a movie," Kirkman said. "I don't think this is a spoiler or anything that will get anybody in trouble. I don't know. Maybe. We'll see. I don't care. I don't work for Marvel. What are they going to do to me?" He called me and said, "I just came back from a costume fitting for the Sentry. I guess I only do superheroes that wear blue and yellow because of course, he does the voice for our boy Invincible." Walker, uh, this casting has been rumored for quite some time now, but it seems that Kurtman just confirmed it to be true. So, what are your thoughts on this casting, and do you think Stephen Yen is a good fit for the role?
Love the casting. Don't know the role. I mean, I don't know Sentry. Would love to hear a little bit about him if you know anything. But
A
Stephen
little bit,
Yen's really carving out quite a career for himself.
yeah.
He's Glenn from Walking Dead. He was a pretty iconic character in that show. Had an iconic exit from that show.
I was about to say probably the most iconic death in that show, right?
Oh, probably, yeah. And he went on to Minari. Minari was excellent. I thought.
Got an Academy Award nomination for that.
Did he get nominated? I
Yeah,
know the movie did. Yeah, he should have. It was very very good. He was very good. Nope, as
yeah, he was
Jude.
really good in that. I liked him in that.
Uh, I mean, Invincible's fantastic. I haven't seen Beef yet. It's on my list, the Netflix show, but I
Is
hear
it
it's very
above
good.
or below Point Break?
It's on a different list. It's a show list. I
Okay,
can't. It's different mentality.
okay,
Biting off a show and a movie are two different games.
fair. That's fair.
Here, usually the list is in order of cultural relevance, and it's tough for a mid '90s action flick to to pass over. Like what might get nominated this year? What
It's
what
relevant
the
to the
single?
podcast, Walker.
I'll watch it. I'll watch it before year's end. How about that? Before year's end, I'll watch it.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Moving back on the topic here. I think the character of Sentry is really interesting. He's an addict who struggles with his mental health, but has the powers of Superman essentially, and has this dark alter ego that he constantly has to keep at bay. He's kind of a relatively new character, I think. I think
Hmm.
I'm not too familiar with him either. I don't know much other than that. That said, I think Stephen Yen is a very talented actor who can pull this off. It seems, you know, like the character will have a lot of layers to him, and I imagine a lot of actors would be eager to kind of get the opportunity to play a kind of character like this. It'll be interesting to see how Sentry fits into the story of Thunderbolts, and if he'll be the ultimate threat that this team will have to face off against. Considering all who was on that promotional like art that they dropped for the Thunderbolts, I feel like Century would have no problem taking out this team. So maybe there's like a surprise entrant because that entire team is nothing but super soldiers and assassins, and it's an awesome team. A who's who of like really cool characters in the MCU. I think. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this Thunderbolts team takes on Sentry, if that is indeed the plan. But sticking with Marvel, Brie Larson has no plans to leave Captain Marvel. This coming from an interview she did with ET. There's still so much inside Carol. I don't want Marvel to come for me. There is definitely something I want to say, but I'm not going to. She is just a great character to continue to grow with. Walker, do you think we'll get more Captain Marvel going forward? And if you do, will it be Brie Larson? Will Marvel take the wrong lesson from the Marvels following, I think, 78% this weekend at the box office, which is a huge drop off? Do you think they will take the wrong lesson from that and think it's Brie Larson's fault? Or do you think they will build a good movie around Brie Larson as I think they should?
I hope. I mean, obviously, I hope they take the right lesson. I don't think they'll take the wrong lesson. They're not that dumb. I know who it. I mean, like it. I. I'm glad, but didn't wasn't there an article like 2 weeks ago saying that she wants to step away because the fans have been so mean to
There
her and stuff like
was,
that? Like, who's somebody's reporting some bullshit? I don't know.
yeah, that's the thing is whenever you hear stuff like this, it sometimes it happens to be true, sometimes it's not. It was from that Variety article saying there was like an insider saying that if I again I'm paraphrasing the article, I don't remember it offhand, but like she was kind of done with the role and kind of wanted out. But here, maybe it's lip service, her saying like, "Oh yeah, I still want to play the character," but really she's like, "No, I'm done."
Well, real quick, sorry to interrupt. Was Variety the one that put out
It's that
the
huge
huge
article.
Marvel article
Yes.
that said what they're going to really be backed into a corner when at the end of this season
Oh
with
yeah,
Kang?
and we'll
What
get
what that's
what
not
corner? What corner were they back
that
to?
it
Yeah,
almost seems like they kind of wiped their hands of it a little bit. Like they
yeah,
could just walk away.
yeah, and
I mean, it was the
we'll
okay,
get
sorry.
more into that later because there's another news story that we have to. There's several news stories that we have to cover regarding that, but
Yeah.
that
Sorry. Okay.
but that's it's from that same article though. Like it,
Yeah.
yeah. So you never really know what's going on
Yeah.
with this kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Glad you're so good at citing the work. Um,
Mm.
so the rest of people would think it would be us.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, I hope I like Brie Larson. I liked Brie Larson in the Marvels. I thought she was the second best part of the Marvels. I think
That
I hope she continues, and I hope they make a good movie around her. I didn't particularly. I mean, I didn't hate Captain Marvel the first one, but it wasn't. I mean, I didn't like super love it. I mean, it did well, but you know what? Would it have done well if they hadn't positioned it the way they did, where they make Infinity War with the beeper on the ground, and they're like, well, "Who's that?" And it's like, "Oh, we're gonna put out a Captain Marvel movie before we put out Endgame," and it's like,
yeah, because
"Oh,
so
well, I
like
got us."
one argument I've heard is that well Ant Man and the Wasp didn't make that much money, but it's Ant Man. That first Ant Man movie made I think around $500 million. I think, and it's Ant Man. It wasn't like this big thing that was a big tease at the end of one of the highest grossing movies of all time and Avengers Infinity War. Like that's the main
Yeah.
like post credit scene of that film is the beeper. And they made her this like big deal going into Endgame. And she is a big part of Endgame, but she's not like the big part of Endgame. And
Hmm.
that's kind of what sold that first movie on top of people were really riding high. And generally, most people I talk to like that movie. I am not one of those people that like that movie. I think it's really poor. I think it did not serve Brie Larson. I thought it was a pretty poor movie. But as far as do I think Brie Larson will return, I think yes to my first question. She will return, and I think we will get more Captain Marvel going forward. It's very quick, very easy answer. I don't think, again, the movies have served Brie Larson very well. I do think if she's given like a good script, she can absolutely crush this, and I hope she does.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I mean, I liked her. I liked her in this movie, and most people I've heard liked her, like, regardless of what they thought of the movie, The Marvels, they
She was good.
liked the three leads,
Yeah,
and they liked the performances. I have heard a couple people say she was phoning it in. I don't think so. She did have a more, I don't know what the word is, like down to earth, or like a more reeled in kind of performance, sort of. But
it's.
I liked it. I
I
thought
thought it
it
was
was
more
subtle.
relaxed, more like I'm having fun with this kind of thing. I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't.
and her conversation pieces weren't stiff and superhero like they were talking to her friend and her other. I thought
Yeah,
they were. I thought her performance came off subtle and authentic rather than lazy.
yeah, I agree with that. But you brought this up. We're gonna get into some Kang stories here. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel, quote, likely moving away from Kang. This coming to us from Screen Rant. Speaking to the House of R podcast via comicbook.com, House of R podcast is part of the Ringer podcast crew. MCU, the reign of Marvel Studios author Joanna Robinson suggested that Jeff Loveness, who had been attached to Avengers Kang Dynasty as a writer following his work on Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, has also been dropped from the project. Robinson noted that this was because Marvel Studios will be moving away from King the Conqueror, and Loveness's proximity to the villain no longer fit the changing plans. Uh, so, one thing we should note is that this is not confirmed in any way, but this is interesting considering what we heard from that Variety article a few weeks ago that we just talked about, and you know who this news is coming from, and Joanna Robinson, who seems very connected with the people over there at Marvel. Given all that, what are your thoughts on this, Walker?
Yeah, I think they're likely moving away from King. I think it's too messy. I mean, honestly, you listen to us talk on this podcast hopefully every week, and every single time I talk about Jonathan Majors in Loki and Jonathan Majors in Creed 3, two projects that I have brought up personally about 100 times on this show, and I have to like caveat it every single time because, like, I mean, we want to stand for what's right, and we don't want to, like, I mean, it sucks, but there's more important things
Yeah,
than good performance. I mean, you just got you can't give people platforms. I mean, and I'm not going to get into the politics of all this, but it if I mean we're the Ben and Walker movie show has to tiptoe around stuff. I imagine Disney is trying to get away with. That being said, I mean, maybe they're not. Maybe their wallets depend on it a lot more than ours do.
yeah,
I mean, Kay. I mean, Jonathan. I'm just going to speak facts. Jonathan Majors is a phenomenal actor. I mean, he's incredible in Creed 3. I already said it this episode, and he's incredible in Loki. I mean, I wasn't as into the Kang in Ant-Man. I mean, the Ant-Man was such a weird movie that it this whole year, except for Guardians, the movie Ant-Man and the Marvels both were just, they felt like, well, I enjoyed the Marvels. They both just felt like projects. Like they weren't full movie. Like they didn't feel as polished as I'd want them, or as like satisfying as you would want them to
like
be.
it's cohesive.
Yeah. So I mean, it sucks, but I think they're probably moving away from it. And like you said a minute ago, the Variety article were just wrong. I mean, they did not paint themselves in any corner. if I wasn't doing any research on it, I would, if I was a
And it should be said
complete
that that
casual
came from
fan.
a source who had seen
Mm-hmm.
who said they had seen the ending of season 2. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and unless they pivoted somehow, but I don't think they pivoted last minute for such a bomb ass finale.
no.
I mean, I don't think they're gonna pivot last minute and just give us a 100 out of 100 finale. I don't. I I think it was just clickbait, but if I was a very casual fan, and like you said I was a casual fan a minute ago, but like just to the point where I don't know much about film or movies, or I'm not in the know, or I don't care about the news, I would think after watching Loki that okay, well they got rid of Kang. Like I think they could have just done that. Like, and I wouldn't even know any better. Like I think
Yeah.
they could have just.
And here's the thing. Given that Variety article a few weeks ago, they suggested that Doctor Doom is likely the next big bad, who
Mhm.
they're pivoting to. And unlike the Variety article suggested that Loki season 2 ended in a way that made it hard for them to pivot, I don't think Loki season 2 ended in a way where you need to continue King's story. It ends in a way that makes it feel like you could just kind of close that character and his story and pivot if need be, because the TVA is watching out for Kang variants.
Yeah,
They're Kang detectives. You can write it off that way. I can
it
see,
felt pretty buttoned up.
yeah, I can see this ending up becoming true. But like I said, this isn't confirmed, so nobody wait and run with this and say, "Well, I heard this on the Ben and Walker movie show." No, this is just something that was said on another podcast. We are not a news outlet. We just talk.
No, yeah, yeah,
We
yeah.
just talk
That's what I
about,
was saying. You do such a great job of citing all the work you read,
because I don't want to be
and
confused
talk about,
with people that actually do real work. We just talk about the people
yeah.
that do real work.
Yeah. And to be clear, I don't much care. I again, we've said it a couple times this episode. I'm not super familiar with comic lines and stuff like that, so I don't know a ton about Kang. Don't really care. Don't care about Kang. If you a year ago, I cared about Jonathan Majors. That was what was so exciting to me.
Yeah,
Jonathan Majors. I couldn't care less about. I mean, whatever. But Doctor Doom, I actually know a little bit about and kind of would like to see Doctor
he's
Doom. But
one of like the bigger
it's
Marvel villains, and
yeah, it's yeah,
it would be a good way to go. And I mean, considering he is like Kang is not the big bad in the Secret Wars comic book. That is the big bad in that is Doctor Doom.
yeah.
So if they're going to pivot, that makes sense. I'm not saying it will happen, not saying it's true, but I could see it happen. Moving on to some more Kang stories. Destin Daniel Cretton, the filmmaker behind Shang-Chi, will no longer direct Avengers The Kang Dynasty. This coming from Deadline. Deadline hears that the filmmaker, Destin Daniel Cretton, has decided to step away as director of Marvel Studios' Avengers Kang Dynasty to focus on other Marvel projects. This is an amicable exit, as I understand, as Cretton remains fully in the Marvel Studios family. In fact, Cretton is in talks with Marvel Studios about directing future movies. Um, to me, this certainly lends credence to that theory that Marvel is pivoting away from Kang, given that the movie is no longer has a writer or director. So it's just kind of sitting there now without your two biggest parts. But it doesn't confirm that. Again, I will say I'm happy that this means that Destin Daniel Cretton can move away from this and focus on giving us fucking Shang-Chi 2 finally, and Wonder Man, which this article says will resume shooting after Thanksgiving. Wonder Man will be under the new Marvel Spotlight series banner, which are shows that are standalone series and are not part of the greater Marvel Cinematic Universe. We've been saying this for the past few weeks, but with this, it certainly feels like Marvel is in full overhaul mode. And there's also, of course, rumors that Wonder Man's probably going to be as well. But according to this article, it's going forward, so we'll see. But
Yeah.
I think this lends credence to them pivoting away from Kang.
Yeah, I think it all but confirms it. I think it. I mean, even if it hasn't been confirmed yet, this move is gonna really push for that. I mean, it's just probably. I think they're likely moving away from the Kang storyline.
Yeah, I think it's a real possibility. Are you looking forward to Shang-Chi too?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I liked Shang-Chi. Didn't love it, but I liked it, and
I think I said in my review it was almost great. It suffers
yeah,
from what I would call, and I'm going to probably get hate for this, Marvelisms, where there's a serious moment that happens and it instantly cutaways to a joke that you can tell was added in post or feels like it was added in post to add some levity to the moment, because Marvel has a tendency to, depending on the movie, not let serious moments hang for a minute.
yeah. No, I
It
know.
suffered from some of those issues, but I overall really liked it.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was funny. I mean, it was good. I uh, I look forward. I wish they would. I wish we had seen him in the last 2 years. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Shang who?
Sean? Who? Yeah. Again, staying in the Marvel family, this is our last news topic, and this is the big news from this week. This is coming from Deadline. I believe before Deadline got it, Daniel RPK and Jeff Schneider ported this or posted it. After months of speculation over who might play Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, and Marvel Studios' Fantastic Four, the wait may be finally over. While the deal is far from done, sources tell Deadline that the three-time Emmy nominee Pedro Pascal is in talks to play the leader of the iconic superhero team. Insiders add that the scheduling is still being worked out, but multiple sources close to the negotiations are saying it's headed in the right direction for Pascal to do this and his other future projects. Walker, do you think Pedro Pascal is a right fit for Dr. Reed
Yeah,
Richards? That's a quick yeah.
yeah. I mean, Pedro Pascal's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm on the hype train with him. I mean, I love. He's got some. Him and Oscar Isaac are two that like I feel like they're just checking off every cool thing they need to check off. You know what I mean? And they're not all. They don't all
But
hit. I mean,
can they
Oscar
check
Isaac.
off things together? Like I want to see them do something together. I mean, they've been in something together. They were in the Ben Affleck movie, Frontier, something that's gonna kill me. You know what I'm talking about, don't you? Got
When how long ago was it?
Garrett Hedlund in it, Ben Affleck, Oscar Isaac, Pedro Pascal,
I don't know.
Triple Frontier, Triple Frontier.
Oh, okay,
Yes,
yeah.
yes, right off the top of the dome. I still got it. Your boy still got it.
I mean, you know, in my life, Pedro Pascal made his first splash as the Prince of Dorne in Game of
Yeah, that's
Thrones
where I
with
first
a
remember him.
very memorable
The
episode.
Viper.
Obviously, he's just nailing it in Mandalorian, whether he's voice acting or whatever. I mean, it's a great show and he's a great voice in it, and anything he's done has been great in it. I mean, they don't all hit. I mean, Wonder Woman 84 hitting my favorite.
He was cooking it in that
And with
movie, though.
yeah, it's fine. It's just the movie wasn't very good.
Fair.
And then Oscar Isaac and Apocalypse. Those are like the two misses, but they still kind of checked off the DC and the two universes.
But don't forget, Oscar Isaac is Moon
Which,
Knight, so we could see some crossover.
oh yeah. See, yeah, just things like that, and then the The Last of Us, I think, is one of the best shows running. I mean, I think it might be the best show
That
running.
show is wonderful. That third episode
It,
still might be my favorite piece of television I've seen all year. Well, that episode 5 of Ahsoka is special.
Yeah, yeah.
But that
I
third
mean,
episode
the
of The Last of
pilot
Us
even
was,
for me.
yeah,
Yeah, it's very the pilot for The Last of Us was. I mean, really, the last of it got. There was a couple that were. I mean, and even Jess liked it, and Jess, that's not like her thing.
yeah,
And I mean, it was very, very good. So yeah, I mean, I just trust him. I mean, I'm excited. Get him attached.
yeah,
I mean, this is a big project. It's a big deal. We need Fantastic Four to be good. Putting Pedro Pascal in it is one of those steps.
yeah. So I, for one, think the internet's daddy is a really good choice. You know, it's not the obvious choice or the choice that I would go with. I was hoping for like Adam Driver or Krasinski to reprise it, but he is one of the hottest names working today and automatically gives any project the feel of legitimacy, given that he really has the pick of the litter to choose from. Why does he need to do this? He's doing it because he wants to do it, and that gives me faith. Why would he choose a bad project? You know, he's a great actor, and I think he'll do a good job. I think he will pull off the gray sideburns. I think he'll. I think he's. I think he'll do good. I think he will. Like, it's that kind of casting where it's like, I wouldn't have done it, but that might be great. Like
Yeah,
it's one of those. But keeping in conversation with Fantastic Four, this is coming from Screen Rant. According to the N Snyder, which is Jeff Snyder, and I think he did this on the Hot Mic pod that he does with John Roca. The Oscar-winning Javier Bardem, is the studio's top pick to play the planet-devouring Galactus and Fantastic Four's MCU debut. Walker, what do you think of Javier Bardem playing Galactus?
yeah, he's great too. I like him a lot. I love No Country for Old Men. I love the little. I said the Little Mermaid. That's not what I meant. I don't love the Little Mermaid. I like. I
Skyfall?
love the Lucy Ricky Ricardo show movie.
Uh,
The Being the
Being the
Ricardos.
Ricardos. Did you like him in Skyfall?
Yeah, he was blonde in Skyfall,
Yeah.
wasn't he? Yeah, yeah, he's
I
yeah.
think he's the best Bond villain ever in that movie.
Really?
Yes.
Oh wow, good. Yeah, I liked him in it. Dune,
Yeah, he's great in Dune.
he's gonna. Yeah, he's gonna. I mean, he's not too far off the conversation of adding the similar like legitimacy to a project. I mean, yeah, I'm pumped for it. Sounds great, especially if he's going to be
Yeah,
working
I mean,
across people that are going to challenge him and elevate him.
so I think he has the perfect voice for it. He has that very deep voice,
Mhm.
and maybe he'll do some motion capture for it. But I imagine the main reason they want him is for his voice. And also,
Mhm.
it's Javier Bardem, Oscar winner Javier Bardem. He is an amazing actor, incredible actor. And again, he's one of those people that you put in a movie, he adds a legitimacy to it. So, yeah, I would love for him to be Galactus. There's just hope this time he's not a giant fart cloud like he was in Fantastic Four: Rise of the Silver Surfer back in 2007. Did you see that movie, Walker?
Yes,
Yeah, I did too.
yes, yes,
I,
yes. I
I think
did.
I own it. I think I still own it. I was a big Jessica Alba fan back in the day. She was my celebrity crush when I was a kid.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
me too. Yeah. All right, you want to move on to some trailers?
Let's get on to some trailers, man.
All right, let's try. We got Anyone But You, the new rom com, R-rated rom com with Sydney Sweeney and Glenn Powell. They are, yeah. I mean, I'll see this movie, and I hope it's good. They are laying on thick, and they are selling sex, and that this is an R-rated rom com with the two hottest people in the world right now.
Yeah. I don't know how it is that you get two actors who look as good as these two actors and Sydney Sweeney and
Mm.
Glenn Powell and feel like they have the chemistry of oil and water. I don't know how you do that. it should work on paper, but for some reason it's just not, it's not clicking. It's not working for me, man. It's not doing it. I'll see it because I love rom-coms. They are, I don't want to say guilty pleasure. No, they are a pleasure of mine. I freaking love rom-coms, and I love these actors too. But I'm just not feeling it, Walker. I'm sorry. I'm the Debbie Downer on this one.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, but they're not selling much with the trailer outside of like the sex appeal with it and the R-rated aspect of it, which is interesting. I mean, R-rated rom-coms always. I mean, it's interesting, I
Yeah.
guess, but no, there's nothing about it that's like this is going to be good. No, at all. I mean, it doesn't look very good. It looks like what it is.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, I do think the Ted miniseries looks good though. I loved it. You like Ted?
I did too. Yeah, okay, so again, this looks really funny. Like I thought the first movie was hilarious. It was my second favorite comedy of 2012. And while I really enjoyed the second movie, especially that bit with Liam Neeson, it was a bit
Yeah.
of a step down from the first movie. It felt like
Yeah.
it was a series of bits from like a TV show instead of a movie. But I
Okay.
think that's why the TV show will work really well because I enjoyed all those bits in the movie.
Yeah. That makes sense. That's a good point. I mean, I think Seth. I mean, I'm a Family Guy
I am
fan. I mean,
too.
I don't watch every episode or watch that much, but every time I have it on, I think it's
Do you watch it with your
pretty
friend Will
genius.
Wheaton?
Yeah.
Will Wheaton?
I We just bought Cool Whip for the Thanksgiving dessert.
Cool.
I think I it looks funny. I mean, whatever joke they landed the most for me, I think it was the peacock joke where they were like, future Ted, we got a show on the most successful on one of the streaming service, whatever he says in there. It's really funny.
We have a show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved when they would do that in the show, when they would like throw Fox under the bus, like on the show. I think it's hilarious. I think Seth MacFarlane's kind of a comedy genius.
Yeah, I do too.
So yeah, I'm pumped about it, and I think at least I'll get some laughs out of it. I'll definitely watch it.
Yeah, I will.
Percy Jackson and the Olympians. I don't know anything about Percy Jackson. Have you read Percy Jackson?
So I'm not at all familiar with the books or the movies, but
Mm-hmm.
I think the show has promise. I like what I saw from the trailer. I like the young actor playing Percy. It's Walker Scoble. I think he's fantastic. I loved him in the Adam Project, where he has to play opposite Ryan Reynolds and goes like toe to toe with him, and that was really impressive for a young actor
That's cool. I actually haven't seen
to
that.
do that. Adam Project is really good. I liked it quite a bit. The ending got me, man. It's an emotional movie, but I will also say, as far as Percy Jackson and the Olympians go, this has my favorite wrestler of all time in it. Edge plays Ares.
Oh, okay,
Mm-hmm.
cool.
The rated R
Yeah, I remember
superstar,
Ed.
man.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. It is this the generation after us type of book series? Is this their Harry Potter or something, or
Probably.
is it? I don't think this is made for me. My guess is I will not be watching it, but it does look like it doesn't look bad, and visually it looks good, and the story looks okay. I don't think it's made for me. I probably won't watch it unless all of a sudden it takes off and is great. But I hope the people it's made for enjoy it.
Agreed.
I saw Imaginary. I saw that trailer today in the theater.
What'd you think?
Blum, Blumhouse is interesting. I respect their hustle. I respect their throw a bunch of shit at the wall and some really good ones stick. Then I respect in the trailer listing out every one of them that has been decent and being like from the producers of The Black Phone, the I can't even remember what they all are, but like all the good ones. And it this it didn't look that good to me.
Okay. So like for me it's like, does this look like a bunch of stuff I've seen before? Yes. But I thought this looked genuinely creepy. The director Jeff Wadlow has been a bit spotty. His track record is spotty for me. That's putting it kindly. But I did enjoy Never Back Down and Kick Ass 2. So maybe this falls in line with those instead of the other films. But I do think
Never Back Down.
I think it looks
Is that a
creepy.
fighting movie?
Oh yeah.
Is that like a Cody Paris favorite?
That is a Cody
Is
Paris all timer. I've watched that movie a many a time with Cody.
okay. I don't. I'm looking at his producer credits. IMDb on the computer will screw you up
Never
sometimes.
Back Down was one of those movies in high school when I was in high school. Like I Love You Man, that like I made people watch. Like when people come over, "Oh, dude, you never seen Never Back Down? Okay, we're gonna watch it." Or, "Oh, dude, you never seen I Love You Man? Okay, we're gonna watch it." Like it was like one of those movies.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see it if it's True Memoirs of an International Assassin. That's something he did. That's a Kevin James Netflix movie. It was not very good. Um, I don't know. I mean, I'll see it if
You
like
have
Jess
time to
wants to
watch
see
that,
it.
but
But
not Point Break, Walker.
that was so many years ago. All right. What do I got next? It was something. Oh, Arthur the King. I saw this in the theater today and cried. I'm into this. I want to watch it. I'm. It looks interesting. Apparently, I was going to call it original, but I guess it's a true story.
Is it a true
I'll
story?
definitely be watching. Yeah, it says it's based on it's based on true events.
I guess I missed that bit in the trailer,
Was,
but I just watched this trailer today. This is the second movie in a week, Walker, that we will be talking about a movie starring Mark Wahlberg and directed by Simon uh, Kellen Jones or Sellen
mm-hmm.
Jones. I guess they must have had a good time working together to get two
Oh,
movies from them in 1 year. Uh,
yeah. Wow,
did
that is
the
interesting.
Family Plan and then Arthur the King. I feel
This looks much better to me.
See, I feel similarly about both movies based on their trailers. They look like that Sunday afternoon movie that I could just sit and enjoy and not have to worry or think very deeply about them. I would think this one's going to pull at the heartstrings a little bit more. Plus, it has a
Yeah.
dog in it in Simu Liu, so I'm sold.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's going to be a cheap movie that just like makes you cry, just kind of uses the dog version of a jump scare, and to just ruin your day. I cried during the trip. I mean, I didn't cry hysterically, but I like turned away. um,
Do you get like
it,
really
it looks
angry when you
interesting.
watch John Wick?
I'm I'm a bit of a freak about dogs. I've not always been that way. I've not been anti dog, but I've been take it or leave it for a long time. My wife had two dogs, you know, before we got married, and they've been in my life now for several years, and they mean a lot to me, and
Dogs have that effect on you, man.
I've gotten overly sensitive about animals. I mean, I'll put like Cooper's fate. I mean, I can barely like even like fish anymore, and I don't have any issue with people fishing or anything like that. It's not like, but like I just like put I just have like I get oversensitive about it, and I
Well,
just
I wouldn't say
don't put
oversensitive.
myself
You're
in a
just sensitive
situation.
about it.
Yeah. But this looked interesting, at least even without the dog portion of it. Like a I don't know what this race would be called. It's not a decathlon. I mean, whatever it is, I think it was. It's like I've never seen anything about like that. That kind of seemed interesting. You had the dog factor. You know what it reminded me of? This widespread movie that everyone has seen called Eyes of an Angel. I think it was a 91, 92 John Travolta movie. My guess is no one has seen it ever. My guess is
You would know
4
that
people have
movie.
seen and I don't even remember what it's about. He's like a scumbag dad, and he gets in trouble with people he owes money to or whatever, so he has to move across the country. And it's the kind of situation where like his daughter, his little girl, like is the adult in the relationship and like takes care of him, like just that story that you heard a
Yeah.
lot. And they have to move across the country, and right before they move, like his daughter like takes in this stray dog to like take care. I mean, like just they become attached, and then she has to leave him behind when they go move across the country. And the dog follows them across the country somehow, and like ends up, on the West Coast with them. But that's just what kind of what it reminded me of. But hopefully maybe one person has seen that movie besides me. But I'll see this. I'm more excited about this than the other one.
Yeah, I think it looks good.
We got Sometimes I Think About Dying, Daisy Ridley movie. What do you think about this?
I think it looks really interesting. I think Daisy Ridley she's a fantastic actress. Say what you want about these Star Wars sequels. I love them. I think she's fantastic in them. I think she's wonderful as Rey. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
excited to see her in more stuff post Star Wars where she can really just let loose on her acting chops and show them off because I think she's very talented. And I just think post Rise of Skywalker, we haven't really seen much of her or seen her let loose. And I want to see more of her because I kind of miss her as an actress. I think she's awesome. And this looks like a good
I
dramatic turn.
I like her in Star Wars, and I think she's good in the movies. And she gives me the gist. It's hard to make the judgment call, and so I mean, not. I mean, then maybe that's an ignorant thing to say, but like some of the roles, it's tough to understand their acting potential from the Star Wars movies. Maybe like in other types of roles. Maybe that's a stupid take, but I just I'm not. I don't know much of her work outside of Star
Yeah.
Wars. And this type of movie, this is obviously a very like at least it has a very indie look, a very
It's very indie.
um they're going for something here, and a lot of the times those I want good acting in those. I want very good acting in those. You know what I mean? Like almost like the movie kind of like it's gonna make it or break it with Ridley, with Daisy Ridley, and I hope she makes it with it because it looks interesting. It looks like a character study. It
Yeah.
looks I'd like to see it. I hope she's great in it, and I hope it is probably an underseen gem. I haven't heard anything about it yet.
Agreed.
I don't know if it's getting well received at the festivals or not.
I haven't read much about it. I know that again, the trailer looked interesting. So
We got What If season 2. Did you watch the first season?
I
I
did.
assume you
I
did.
did.
I'll tell you my thoughts on it. The first season, meh. I'm not saying it wasn't good. It just I don't care.
I'm right
Like
there with you. Like there's a couple of episodes that are really good. The Doctor Strange one really stands out,
Mhm.
but the rest
I
of them
agree.
are meh.
Jeffrey Wright's good as the narrator, the Watcher, whatever. I think it wasn't poor. It was well done. It was interesting animation. It's an interesting concept. I don't hate that they're making it. I won't mind watching it. It's quick, luckily. So I didn't hate season 1, but I don't really care much about it. Now, I will say the trailer for season 2 was good. I think it was. I think it made me excited about it. I know I'm not gonna be excited about it when it's time, like overly excited. But the trailer was good. They cut a good trailer. I also like the release attempt, like one per day over Christmas. That's kind of fun.
That's interesting. Yeah, that'll be
They're
interesting.
doing. I don't remember what date they're starting, but it's going to be December 22nd. It's going to be episode 1, then the 23rd is going to be episode 2, Christmas Eve episode 3, Christmas Day episode 4, and I imagine it looks like there's some Christmas stuff in it. That's cool. Looks like John Favreau gets an episode. Happy. That
Oh,
could be
Happy
cool.
Saves
I
Christmas or
actually,
something like that.
yeah, I actually think I'm kind of excited about it, and I feel like the last person who would ever say that.
Nice.
But it's a good trailer and a good marketing,
Yeah.
basically. Lastly, we got Madam Web. I'm interested to hear what you think about this.
So I don't care what anyone says. I really enjoyed Venom. And I loved Venom Let There Be Carnage. Tom Hardy is just having so much fun in those movies.
Yeah.
And I just enjoy watching him go full bonkers and do stuff on screen that shouldn't work but does. That said, when it comes to Sony, I thought Morbius was quite poor. I would say bad, but
Mhm.
enjoyably bad, in my opinion, but still bad. And I think
Mhm.
Craven doesn't look much better. I did not care for that trailer. This, however, it does at least look interesting, which is more than I thought I'd say based on the fact that it's a freaking Madam Web movie. Like, seriously, what the hell? I never thought at any point in my life someone would go, let's make a Madam Web movie. That is a very obscure character in a comic book and was like the weirder parts of the animated show I used to watch as a kid. I think, you know, the cast here is great, and the idea of making like a Terminator style film that's a superhero movie could work, but we'll see. I'll just say they have my attention, especially with uh, the aforementioned Sydney Sweeney as Spider Woman in that classic outfit. I think that looked cool, man. She looked really cool in that outfit.
I feel very similarly almost on all points. I'll say Venom and Venom 2, similar feelings as the Marvels for me. Enjoyed the lead, enjoyed the comedy, enjoyed some of the action. Did not think the movie was very good. Either movie, a little worse than that though. I thought the movies were. I thought those movies were worse, like than the Marvels, but I had a similar amount of fun watching them. They were I laughed and it was interesting. Jess actually liked Venom Let There Be Carnage. Again, anytime that happens, I'm going to bring her up again in a minute. It's like, okay, there must be something here. I mean, I think she just likes the Venom and Tom Hardy. I mean, they were just funny and interesting together. Morbius, I think, is trash. I wouldn't watch Morbius again with your eyes. I mean, I
But much
the
more be
Craven
again with your eyes, let alone mine.
the Craven the Hunter, that's Aaron Taylor Johnson, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it doesn't look good. I hope it's
no.
good because I hope he's good because I want him to be something. I mean, I'm interested in the Bond talks, and I liked him in Bullet Train. I guess it's all based on that. I think I just liked him in Bullet Train, and now I want him to be good in everything else because
He was great in Kick Ass. Remember him from Kick Ass?
yeah, yeah. This looks interesting. I feel in the same boat. I mean, I don't know much about Madam Web. I if you if someone had said Madam Web to me, I'd be like, oh, I would have thought it was Spider Girl. I guess it's called Madam Web. Like I don't even like know what they all are, but it looks interesting. I mean, it looks I think this time loopy type of thing could work, and I think the trailer made it interesting. Sydney Sweeney looks cool. Again, we saw this in the theaters today. I had already seen it, but Jess saw it for the first time and was like, "That actually looks pretty good." And I was like, "Okay." So maybe it'll be a success. Maybe it'll be good. I hope so.
I hope so too.
Let's get into what we're watching. I know we're going to talk a little bit about Hunger Games here in a bit, and but what else have you been watching?
So I finally got around to watching The Covenant, Guy Ritchie movie with Jake Gyllenhaal, and I thought the movie was fantastic. Uh, this
Oh,
isn't what I'm used to with Ritchie, but over the past few years, he has shown that he can get out of his comfort zone and do different stuff and stuff that he really isn't known for. And here he captures a beautiful story of two people who come from different parts of the world, risking their lives to save one another. It's wonderfully acted, incredibly directed, and has some of the most tense moments I've seen in movies in a movie all year. This is a very easy must see for me. I really loved it. And then went to the movies.
Cool. Where's it streaming? Do you know?
It's
Is
on
it streaming somewhere? Or is it?
it's on Amazon Prime right now.
Okay. They look. I mean, I kind of forgot about this movie.
Yeah, it's really good. Carly and I were going back and forth on a movie to watch one night, and we just ended up on that because I was like, "Oh, I saw a trailer for this like every movie I went to go see back in January, like, and I just missed it. Didn't get a chance to go see it in theaters, and it's on Amazon Prime for free if you have a Prime membership. So I was like, okay, let's check this out. You like Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's a war movie. Let's watch it, and it's really good. Thanksgiving was the other movie I watched.
Hmm.
So here's the thing. I've this is a movie I've been looking forward to watching since I saw the trailer for it in 2007 with the cult classic Grindhouse, which is one of my favorite movie theater experience of all time. For those who aren't aware, in 2007, Quentin Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez teamed up to direct two separate films, which is Planet Terror and Death Proof, and put them out together in the style of like a grindhouse film, complete with false trailers in between the movies to really capture that experience of what it was like to go to a grindhouse theater and see these old movies with these dusty, dirty film reels, sometimes missing complete reels, and it's just really cool experience. Robert Rodriguez had already made his false trailer into a movie, an actual movie in Machete, a movie I remember liking. I haven't seen it since 2010, 2011. But
Danny Trejo.
yeah, Danny Trejo. But I wasn't a big fan of the sequel. I was worried that this movie would just become a bit and feel like that the entire movie. But to my surprise, it doesn't. I think Eli Roth delivers his best movie to date. Pardon my pun here, guys, but he is baking up a dish that is devilishly funny with some clever commentary. It's very gruesome, especially the dinner table sequence. It's stuffed with great kills and has one of the more memorable opening sequences of the year. Be that as it may, I do think there is some undercooked portions when it comes to the movie. I think the characters can feel a bit one dimensional at times, and the third act feels like it goes on a little too long. And then, not getting into any spoilers, but there's some teleporting stuff that goes on, not literally, but it feels that way. Um, Also, and this is more just a total personal preference, nothing against the movie. I would have loved for them to lean in a bit more into that grindhouse style with the bad print. But I get the decision to not do that given that that movie is 16 years old. So it makes sense not to. And plus, that movie didn't do too well at the box office, which is a damn shame. But overall, I think Thanksgiving, it satisfied my cravings, Walker, and hopefully this can become a franchise. As I think John Carver has the potential to become pretty iconic.
Okay, that's interesting. I was I have you heard anything of like how the world's feeling about it? Did it just come out Friday?
Yeah, it came out Friday. It has like a
Critically speaking, I mean.
critically speaking, it has a let me check here. I think it's like a Rotten Tomato score of like 80 something.
Oh wow,
Um, thanks,
cool.
Thanksgiving movie. Let me look this up. 2023. Here we go. 82%.
Wow, cool.
Yeah.
That's I mean that's exciting. I mean maybe I'll check it out. I really didn't expect to check it out.
I don't think you would like it, Walker, based off of your
Okay.
reception to based off of your reception to Freddy versus Jason. This is
Mhm.
not in your wheelhouse. What I was wrong about the Marvels. I thought that you were going to hate that movie more than I did, and you ended up liking it better than me. So maybe I'm wrong, Walker. What do I know? So check it out. I'd say check it out.
It's a weird world. Rick Hoffman, is that his name? The guy who plays Lewis Litt in Suits.
Yeah.
For some reason, I enjoy when he's on the screen. Well, let me get into some of the stuff I watched. I watched quite a bit.
What'd you watch?
I saw. Okay, so The Crown. You ever seen that show
No.
about the royal family?
I know what it is.
It's very
I've
good.
never seen it.
It's very good. It's dry. It's British. It's slow, but somehow they can captivate and hold your attention if you have any interest at all in it. The show's good. It's extremely well done. I mean, it looks incredible. The performances, they crush it time after time again. If you're not familiar with the premise of the show, it's the royal. It's about Elizabeth since she took over, but the first two seasons she's young, and it's about her father ruling, and then her taking the throne, and her and Philip, and the first 20 years or so of her reign, and then it goes into the 70s and 80s, or 60s, 70s, 80s type, and she's more middle-aged at this point, and they brought in an entire new cast for these ages. So you fall in love with these young versions, and then they're all gone, and they bring in a whole new cast for the middle-aged versions. And then you watch them for seasons 3 and 4, and then they get a whole new cast for the old versions.
So like
And
House of
you
Dragon?
think, yes, yes, yes. Similar to that, yes. And similar to that, they nail it every time. I mean, I think House of the Dragon did a great job of the job. I think
Yeah,
I
they
fell
did.
in love with the character, was pissed when I found out they were changing it, fell in love with this one in the first opening long take. As soon as she came on screen for the first time, like going into labor, walking up the steps. It was a different thing.
That scene was brutal.
They nail it every time, though. You fall in love with these characters all over again. Now, we are in the final season, and they're putting out in 2 parts. They just released the first 4 episodes, and they're going to release the final 4 December 14th. So I watched the first 4 episodes that they dropped. This was a very Diana focused arc, basically leading up from the post Charles and Diana's divorce to Diana's death. Um, Diana is played by what's her name? Elizabeth Debicki. She crushes it. She's incredible in it. Very, very good. Dominic West is in it as Prince Charles. He's fantastic in it. I mean, it was very, very good. It was a bit emotional. It kept me on my toes the whole time. Obviously, it's not completely factual because that family and that life is so behind closed doors, so they only have access to so much information. But they use what they know, and they use the sources they can, and they don't lie about it. They say this is our imagining of what happened, on the specifics behind closed doors and stuff. Very good. Highly, if you're into it at all, if you can get through it, I mean, it's absolute must. I mean, it's very good TV. I mean, if it's not your thing, it can be a little boring. But somehow it can hook you. I mean, it's an odd show
A lot
like
of
that.
people really love it.
Yeah, I mean, it does really well in award season. I mean, it's a beautifully shot show. I mean, it's got to be very expensive. I don't know about the budget, but it's a lot of thought and detail and work I put into the show, and it's good. I rewatched the first 4 Indiana Jones movies this weekend.
Ooh, what are your thoughts, man?
Now, I have not seen 5 yet. I haven't seen Dial of Destiny, but it's hitting Disney Plus on December 1st. So I just wanted to get a
Wanted to get up to
rewatch
speed
in
before you
it.
watched. Okay.
Yeah. They're awesome. Well, the first and the third one are awesome. I mean, Raiders of the Lost Ark, I mean, I regraded them too, just after watching them. Raiders of the Lost Ark, I got it at 95 out of 100. I mean, I think it's just the perfect adventure movie. And any kind of like over the top, I keep calling it in the reviews, like over the top eye rolling moments or maybe cheesy. That's part of the charm of Indiana Jones, and it works so well, and it's so fun, and it's just like a kid playing in his backyard the whole time, like I did. I mean, that's what I used to roll a jump rope up in my
Yeah.
belt, and then put my dad's rain hat on and brown leather jacket, and just pretend I'm Indy. I even told my librarian in elementary school on the first day of school, and it was such a cringe moment. Like they knew me from the school, and when they were calling the names, they were like, let me know if you get your name wrong or want to be called anything else. I was like, Indy.
That's awesome.
And she actually did it. And it was later in the day. She was like, so if Indy were to do, she was talking to the class. And I was like, oh God, I don't like it. Never mind. Don't do it. Even then, I was like, that was too weird. I was a freak.
You were awesome.
But
you were not a freak.
Temple of Doom, it's a drop off. I mean, there's still a lot of classic stuff with Temple of Doom, and it's still a fun character. It's still, there's some good moments and things like that. But I mean, it's
the last final like action sequence of that movie still is awesome.
Yeah. Really fun seeing Kiwi Kwan and their owning that character, just like he owns Ouroboros and he owns the guy from Everything Everywhere All at Once. I mean, he really commits to the role early on, and that every time I'm watching it, I think about like the scene, not the scene, but the moment where he goes up to Harrison Ford and he recognizes him, and it's just like a pretty touching moment. It really feels good. I mean, he's such a likable guy, and it's so cool that he's come full circle and won an Oscar.
Yeah.
Last Crusade, I knew I liked it, but I liked it more than I thought.
It's my favorite one.
It's a lot. Okay, it's a lot closer to Raiders than I thought. I mean, I ended up settling at an 87 out of 100, but I think it's the funniest one for sure. And I think the chemistry between Sean Connery and Harrison Ford is like a dad's dream. I mean, it was a blast watching it. Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, I did not like. I talked about the cheesy corniness that's part of the charm. That one leans into it a little bit heavy. Now none of them are CGI masterpieces or anything like that, but when I saw this one in theaters, the jungle scene, the car chase through the jungle with the vines and stuff like that.
Yeah. See, I argue
just kind of
that
felt like a wolf.
Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, if you take out Indiana Jones, is actually a pretty fun adventure movie. But putting Indiana Jones in that, it doesn't feel like an adventure worthy of the name. And it falls short to me compared to the rest for that reason.
Yeah, I mean, my score on that ended up being a 59, while Temple of Doom ended up being a 71. So, I mean, it was pretty low. I did not like it. I didn't like it when I saw it in theaters in 2008, I think. I don't like it now. But overall, great franchise, great character. I hope I like Dial of Destiny. You've seen it, right?
Yeah, I liked it. I liked it.
I hope I like it. I'm excited to see it. I just haven't gotten around to it yet, and I've been waiting for it to hit streaming for free when I've got other things I can watch. But it was fun to rewatch. I also rewatched, I'm going to quickly throw this in there, Hunger Games, the first one, just because we watched the prequel in theaters today, and I wanted a little bit of a refresher, so I rewatched the first one. I love it. I think it is so good. The first time I watched that movie, it was with Andrew, my cousin, and I think I've said this before, but I thought it was like just some like Twilight type movie. I thought it was a girly type, lame movie. And he was like, no, dude, you got to watch it. And I watched it and I was like, dude, this is intense. This is awesome. And I went home that night and I told like Tanner and Carrie, my roommates, I was like, we got to watch this again. Like it is such a good movie. And I want to rewatch the rest of them too, just because I enjoyed it so much. I love the world building. We'll get into more of it on the review. I just wanted to say I rewatched that. Thought it was awesome. Also awesome. Lastly here, Blackberry. I had not seen it yet this year.
You were talking about it. You were texting me about it. I have not seen it. It's killing me. I'm going to probably rent it at some point. I really want to watch it.
I heard... I heard it was great. Or I heard Glenn Howerton was awesome in it. I never saw it. And for those of you who don't know, my day job, I work in wireless. I work in B2B wireless sales, cell phone. So I'm very familiar with the history of BlackBerry. It hit. I mean, I never personally had a BlackBerry, so it doesn't quite hit that nostalgia button. But if you had a BlackBerry, it really
I
will.
had a BlackBerry for about 2 weeks, and then I got an iPhone.
Yeah, you're probably just under the age. I mean, when I was in high school, everybody had a
Was it
BlackBerry
BlackBerry like
until like
Tuesday or something like that that you would do? You would like, what was that? It was on Twitter. You would give out like your BlackBerry something.
BBM.
I think
Like
I
your
I, I think so.
I never had one. I think I was just trying to go against the grain. And because high school, I graduated in 2008 and iPhone 2007. No one in high school had an iPhone in 2007 yet.
No,
I don't think.
I had a flip razor in
Yeah, I had
2007.
two. I had a Razor too. I just didn't. Everyone in high school had a BlackBerry though. It was a big deal. But so I remember them, but I just didn't personally have one. But I'm familiar with it just through my work and things like that. The movie's awesome. The movie is awesome, and they also unique thing they did. It was a film they put in theaters, and now they have re-released it on AMC or AMC Plus. I don't really know the limitations of access to it, but they've re-released it as a limited series. They've added about 15 minutes worth of footage, mostly about hockey stuff. It's not very relevant footage, so if you see the movie, you're not missing out much. But they also repaced it a little bit, and you can tell just kind of at the beginning of and end of episodes, they make it to where it's like a beginning and
Yeah,
end. So where they might have cut some of the stuff out from the first act and brought it back as kind of a flashback or kind of we're going to revisit it from this angle type of thing. Worked very well as a limited series. I was glued to the screen the entire time. I can't believe it took me this long to watch it. Highly recommend. Must see. Jay Baruchel. I'm not the biggest Jay Baruchel guy, but his best work by a lot. And Glenn Howard. I mean, it's hard to say whether it's his best work or not because I mean, Always Sunny is fantastic, but this is he's mesmerizing in it.
about
He's
a couple weeks ago, I went to one of my buddies' weddings. I was a groomsman, and at the bachelor party, they were playing a clip from Always Sunny in Philadelphia, and it was the clip of the guy going down the Danny DeVito going down the slide, going, "My back, it burns, it burns," and it's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So I gotta watch that show.
yeah, you should watch it. You'll like it. It's good. I mean it takes a boring topic and it makes it very cool, very interesting, and exciting. But that's all I had. I did see Invincible. Did you catch up on that?
I did, man. I finally caught up on all the episodes, and I'm really enjoying this season so far. It's starting out a little slower, but I think with the ending of season 3, it totally got me in the structure. Not season 3, but episode 3. The ending of it got me, and the structure of it was really interesting because there's like a mini episode within the episode, picking up with Seth Rogen's character that he voiced. I thought it was really well done, really creative, and I'm interested to see where episode 4 is going to pick up because episode 3
Me too.
dropped off on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, I mean they're really cooking here. What's going to happen? They're only putting out 4 episodes, just like The Crown. Then we're going on a break, and they're going to put out the
They're
other
going to
half
tease us.
on a later date. But I mean, they just keep inching us along, and what I thought we were doing was just a little extra side mission, almost Mandalorian esque, where we were going to
Mhm.
go off on this side mission, save these bug people. Obviously, big reveal at the end. Right? We're in spoilers here. We're going to do
Yeah.
timestamps below. So I mean, Omni Man, his dad is the monarch. He's tricked him into coming to help this planet. Also, you mentioned Alan. I love Alan. I think Alan has been a great character the whole show, and
Was a
I
great
honestly
character. It
was
seems
kind of
like he's
like
going to die.
I don't know. I think he's still got him there, but I mean, I got like a little like hurt watching him. I mean, it was kind of emotional in a weird way. I mean, he's just like a nice guy, and like it was cool to hear his backstory. It felt the writing on the show is so
It's really
good,
good.
and the voice acting.
Yeah.
It's all so good. I mean, it's so quickly I mean, I can be a curmudgeon sometimes and like, be like, oh yeah, I need to watch this show, or I gotta watch this episode, gotta watch this before the podcast, or I got
This
whatever, or
doesn't feel like
gotta
homework.
check this off this. Yeah, well, as soon as I press play, within minutes, it like sucks me
Yeah.
in, and I'm like, oh yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome, and it's very, very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, and today I saw Hunger Games in theaters. The prequel, the Ballad of Shoots and Ladders. What did you call it? The Song Snakes and Birds of Songs.
The songs of birds and
Um,
snakes. The song of sharks and farts.
did you see it?
I did, man. So look, I love the Hunger Games franchise. It's one that, much like you, when I first heard about it, I kind of wrote it off. But as soon as I got talked into watching the first movie, like I fell headfirst into the books, and I was so anxious to see the rest of the series and what would happen. I loved Catching Fire, which is 10 years old now, which is crazy to
Hmm.
me. And while I think, splitting the third book into two movies was the wrong choice, given I think it might be the shortest book, I still enjoy watching those movies as like a giant movie, like going straight from one to the other. I think it plays a lot better. And going into this one, I didn't read the book, so I didn't have as much love for it, and I wasn't all that excited. But I had been enjoying the trailers leading up to it, and I got to say, this movie didn't disappoint, man. I really like this movie a good deal, minus a third act problem, which I'll get into. But as far as the good, I think across the board, the performances were fantastic. Viola Davis, man, she can do no wrong. I love her, and I love
She's so good.
she's so good, man. And I love seeing her play like big and evil, and she's so good at it. I thought Peter Dinklage was really good and has a great final scene in the movie. But the two standouts are Tom Blythe and Rachel Zegler. This movie does a great job of not making you overly sympathize with Snow, given that he's going to become a tyrannical leader.
Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Yeah. But rather, it humanizes him, which is what makes a great villain. And Tom Blythe does a fantastic job making this role his own while honoring what came before. And going back to Rachel Zegler, she is so good as Lucy. It's not Katniss Redux. It's something different, and she's different. She's much more extroverted, and less physically imposing, less so of a physical threat. But she is a knockout in the dramatic scenes. But she is such a gifted singer, and she just lets it rip in this multiple times. There's one scene in the arena involving snakes where she just lets it rip, and it's like I got chills hearing her sing. Like she's so good. But as far as the pacing and structure goes, and this is where we'll get into my big negatives, I think the first act flows very well and does a good job capturing the world of Panem and getting you caught up to what it was like back then and introducing you to these characters and getting you to care about them. The second act is very suspenseful and engaging and captures a more brutal, barbaric style of Hunger Games. But when you get to the third act, it feels like a movie that should have ended at the second act and use its third act as like a sequel. But instead, what we get is what feels like a movie crushed down into an hour. And while I enjoyed that hour, it felt rushed, and certain things that I should have cared about, I didn't care as much about because it didn't feel fully earned. Like I wanted, it was there, but it didn't like it knocked me, but it didn't knock me on my ass. If that makes any sense,
Mm-hmm.
That said, ultimately, uh, I loved returning to this world that I didn't realize I missed so much. That I'm pretty nostalgic over. The performances and the first two acts I loved as well. It doesn't hurt that this movie's 2 hours and 38 minutes or something like that. And the runtime, it flies by. So for me, this gets a very high go see it.
Okay.
Or is it on, man? Sorry.
I no, I mentioned a few minutes ago that I rewatched the first Hunger Games this weekend. I love this world.
It's a good
I
one.
It has some of the best lore and world building I've ever seen. It's fascinating to me. I mean, I love the just the thought and the of the little things that go in, and the exposition's done perfectly, at least in the first one. The amount of the way they're able to, I mean, we're not talking about the first one, I'm just talking about the world, but they're able to instill fear and terror in the front. I mean, it's so good. I love the set design, or the costume design. I love, just like the imagination that went into like the fashion and the ceremonies and traditions and histories and everything. I think it's so creative and fantastic. And with this one being I guess a period piece in the universe, so like a an older thing, I thought the relationship it had with the original trilogy was perfect.
Yeah.
Like, going back 75 years or wherever we are, 60, whatever it is. I thought the differences of how the Hunger Games was perceived and how it struggled and how it's so creative. I mean, I guess it really, I'm giving kudos to the author. I mean, over any of this, because it's just such creative material. But from a film's perspective and not having read the book, it was I liked this a lot too. I'm sorry, I'm just talking about the world. I really like this world, so I was excited to see this movie. It did not disappoint me either. I liked it a lot. I thought the performances were really good. I mean, Viola Davis, Tom Blythe, Jason Schwartzman,
I didn't
perfect
even
for
mention
this
him. Oh
role.
my god,
I
he's
think
so good.
he slides into it. He is made for it, because I love Stanley Tucci in the first one, and like having someone fill that void.
And this is the character's father, I believe, because remember he mentions like having a was it a reservation for three, but the Hunger Games is taking a little too long or whatever.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh yes, I did. I didn't realize he was the father, but I loved the just the way his character. I love Viola Davis' character. Weird too. Tom Blythe was awesome. Rachel Zegler was great. The accent, she was so. It was a. I don't know, that like it took some getting used to for me. Just like because like you said, I did appreciate, because you usually
She
expect
lays on
this
the
type.
accent thick, but
Yeah.
it's never it borders Perry, but it never goes into like me making fun of Southern women's accents like this. It's not
Right.
that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, no, I don't think so either. I didn't expect it. I guess I missed it in the
yeah.
trailer if it was in there, and it just kind of like was like, oh, that's the accent, okay. But her performance was fantastic. I think Tom Blythe was awesome. I think what he did, because there's a lot of subtlety and a lot of nuance with this character, and
Mhm.
I'm not gonna say they handled this heel turn better than they handled Anakin's. I'm not gonna say that, but someone might say that. I think I really liked like how it was just a well written character, and also well performed. You needed both, and it did it perfectly, because he's never a golden child. I mean, he's never
No,
perfect. And then from the first
he's
scene,
never
I
good.
mean, he's not necessarily a bad person, but he's got selfish motives. He's got probably materialistic motives.
Well, he's a
He's
desperate
surface on some
person,
things. Yeah.
and he's been put into that space and it eats him alive. Clearly, the pursuit for greatness and for being the best and for being in control and absolute power is what corrupts him. It's very much like an Anakin hill
Yeah.
turn.
But he didn't. He's not. He never crosses the line for me until a certain point as of like unlikable to me either. I mean, I kind of understand his struggles and why he feels the way he feels, and it's just they're just portraying an honest, complex character. And then I believed him. I mean, I believed the struggle between Dinklage in the movie says it perfect. Highbottom, is that his name? Where he's like, I'm just letting you know I'm not picking you for the scholarship. So now do you care about her living? That like type of dynamic was very well done and interesting, I think, because I think he did, but I think he wasn't sure which one was more important, and like he was like questioning his own morality, and they don't oversay that to you either. They
No,
don't shove that in your
it's
face. I felt
all
the
it's
subtlety
all
of the writing
him
and the performance.
conveying that to the audience, mostly through look.
Yeah, and I think that's super well done. I agree about the third act. I agree that it was a lot added on. My only question mark, I agree with you. The first two acts I liked a lot, and I would have not minded seeing more of it. Like I wouldn't, because the first act of the first Hunger Games, or really the first half of it, I love it. I
Mhm.
love like the world building and the traditions and going up to the room and seeing all these stupid things happening that people you get to have the penthouse that are like just like dumb shit. Elizabeth Banks trying to act like they're doing them a favor. I just love that part of it, and I wanted it to go on forever. So I could have handled the first and second act being stretched out into a full movie, or into even a 2.5 hour movie. Like just put a little more in there and save the other stuff for another movie. My question mark would be: I liked the third act. I'm wondering if there was enough in the third act. I mean, I guess you just have to put more in there, but I wonder if there was enough in that third act that I would have enjoyed that movie too,
Yeah, because
stretched
I
out
here's
to
the book
two
because
hours.
Carly read the book and she told me it's
Mm-hmm.
paced a lot like that. It's very similar, and you could end up running into an issue where like they decided to split Mockingjay the book into part one and part two, where
Mm-hmm.
the first half feels like all build up and the second act all feels like all payoff, and it doesn't really feel like a
Yeah.
complete movie.
Yeah.
You run the risk of doing that, but I do think that there was enough meat on the bone for you to see him be a grunt, be a soldier, have this relationship between, I mean, maybe this is spoiling stuff, but like have him have this relationship with Rachel Zegler's character and get you to care
Mm-hmm.
about that a little bit more, because I thought the chemistry they had was really good. I really bought into it. So maybe you could have stretched that out a little bit more, add some more intrigue, add some more shades of gray to them, and then when what happens in the movie, it feels like okay, we were building to this, and you care a little bit more because the first two acts of this movie, again, they do a really good job. He's not a golden boy, but you're kind of rooting for him.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think I liked it a little more than you. I lose my train of thought. Sorry. I bought it. I bought into it. I mean, I do think it was a little rushed in the third act, but I think it still worked
Yeah, it
for me.
still
Like it's
works.
still I bought it and it paid off. And the end, I'll tell you, it flipped on a dime for me, kind of like the when he found the guns in the floor. I was a little worried where we're in spoilers now. We got timestamps below. Or actually, you're pretty much going to skip to the end. We're done after this.
Listen,
Um,
anytime we talk about movies that we've seen together, we're pretty much going to spoil them.
yeah. The when they go to that cabin and he finds the guns under the floorboard, you obviously like you've got a feeling, right? Something's about to
Yeah.
happen. And I was a little worried at that point because my first thought was like, we're almost there, but don't jump the gun, literally. Like don't.
Don't cut
Yeah,
off
don't
Mace
just
Windu's wrist.
don't don't kill the younglings now. Like give it a minute.
Yeah.
Like let's don't skip right to it. Like I didn't quite buy into it quite yet. And then like the conversation they had about like no one will know except me. That type of conversation. Like it was enough to be like, okay, I can.
So
That was enough to make me like
did
accept it.
Lucy just straight up disappeared?
Yeah, yeah. I guess it's pretty ambiguous at the end. But I assume she did. I mean, he was like kind of foggy from the scorpion or tracker jack or whatever got him right.
It,
A
it was
snake,
Snake.
yeah, the snake bird. Um, and then they had lot of, lot of, lot of songs and snakes in this one.
Yeah.
Songbirds and snakes.
But yeah, I really liked it. And like you could do man, you could do I would love to see like a Finnick O'Dare. What was his time like when he
Mm-hmm.
won the Hunger Games? Because that he was my favorite character in the book, and I will say spoilers for a movie that came out, several years ago. I think the last one came out in 2015. The way that he goes out in the book is very quick. The way that he goes out in the movie, I think, is handled so much better. But I would love to see what that was like. How did he make it through? What was that experience for him? Because he was my favorite character in the book. Him and PETA. And
Huh.
PETA was another character that, well, Katniss obviously is probably my second favorite, then PETA. But PETA in the movie, they don't do nearly as good of a job capturing PETA as he is in the book. I prefer PETA in the book to the movie. Not saying that the
I
movie doesn't do a good job. Josh Hutcherson, he does a good job, but I
yeah,
just think the way that he's written in the movies isn't as good as he's written in the books. That always bothers.
I believe that. I believe that. I haven't read the books, but I believe it because watching his character in the movie, you can tell that the character is pretty complex. It's pretty three dimensional. Like he kind of goes, or they like the material they're using for the character is complex, so they try to portray it, and it almost kind of can come off like inconsistent in the movie from like him bouncing around from different attitudes from I'm terrified to teach me how to
Well,
win
the
this
the
game
problem with
to
it
I'm gonna be a
is what they do is, and I think this is on the direction. He's sensitive, but he's strong, and they lean too much
Mhm.
into the sensitive, and so it feels like Katniss is always having to like look after him, and that's not necessarily the case in the books. Even though like
Mhm.
he's sensitive, I just don't think that they capture the strength with PETA as well.
Before we wrap up, I'll also say Peter Dinklage. I know you mentioned it. He was great in
The
this. I thought
final
he was
sequence is
fantastic.
fantastic.
I was so good. I loved it. I mean, and also, you know what? My score, I'll give up my score here, was a little lower at not low. It was good, but it was a little lower at first because my complaint tonight when I was like formulating it in my head while I was talking to you was gonna be yeah, but some of the motivations felt thin or like shallow. Like I didn't like it like not Snow's, but like Dinklage's motivation for like hey like it all kind of felt like they just had a beef and it didn't like have and then like it all kind of like came around there at the end and made a lot of sense. Also, the little bottles, I felt like that was just like a tick and just kind of something extra, but it served a purpose, and they explained it a little bit later. And all that end, like really, like was like,
Yeah.
okay, we're wrapping this up. It was a great ending. I give it a must see. It's if I was gonna rate it out of 100, I'd put it about an 85. I really liked it.
I'm like almost there. I'm 79.5, almost to that 80%, which would be in that must
Yeah,
see. Like it's really, really good. I liked it a lot. I'm sure that I will be watching this again because as soon as I got home last night, I popped on the first Hunger Games. I was like, yeah, I miss this
I may
world.
go right now.
Yeah,
I may go right now and put on Catching Fire. But I think that does it for this week. You got anything else?
I don't, man. I'm all tapped out. Tapped out.
Well, I hope everyone listening has a fantastic Thanksgiving, and we'll see you next week. What's next week? Are we doing a deep dive, or is it
Next week is going to be a real fun deep dive.
Okay, well, stick around. Stay
Well,
tuned for that. But thank
I'm
you all.
wrestling with the idea of what it might be.
It's good.
No.
That does it for this week. Thank you all again so much for listening. If you're hearing this on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, thanks for watching. If you're catching us on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe for more movie talk each week, and let us know what did you think of the Hunger Games or any of the other movies or shows we watched or trailers we saw. But with that said, this has been Ben and Walker, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.